We made it back for another episode. I could not go more than a few days without my, I guess, my left hand man, since you're on my left side today,
There you
according
go.
to the screen, buddy. How are you, Mike?
Good deal. How are things in Quincy? How's the Quincy Hyatt? Or-
Oh, I wish I was staying at the Hyatt. No, I'm kidding. All the crap that I give Shane Tyree, I think it finally came to bite me in the butt as he booked my hotel. So, what can you do? No, I'm kidding. It ain't so bad. We're in walking distance of the venue here in Quincy.
nice.
It's all the kids started rolling in last night, and they're over there practicing right now. We got opening ceremonies from 5 o'clock today through 7. But like we've been working like nonstop. I think yesterday was from like 8 to 6, something like that, and then today we started at 9. But seeing all the kids roll in and all the excitement, and even though
Yeah.
we're already exhausted from all the long hours, it's already making it worth it, buddy. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
good.
no, that's great. And how are they doing in terms of registration for the kids? Decent sized fields, smaller than normal, bigger than normal? What's
I
your take?
think I think beforehand. I mean, I can't really give a comparison per se, but I know that all before they were taking on-site registrations, there was already 100 kids signed up. So
Okay. How did
it
that
was
compare? I mean, you worked with Des and Oscar in Vegas.
work is a loose term. That's you know it depends on who you ask what I did out there. No,
Yeah, I won't ask Des.
please don't, please don't. No, I couldn't give you that comparison because I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
But like just from the old eye test, right?
Yeah.
It looks pretty comparable. So um, yeah, there's a buzz in the room. Kids are excited to compete. There's a few different disciplines: 10 ball, 8 ball, 14-1.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean they're looking
Yeah, I
forward
was
to it.
looking at some of the, what looks like the fields that are built up, 16 under boys
Yeah.
and 10 ball looks huge. Like there might be 30, 32 people in there,
Yeah.
32 kids in there. And 14, the boys divisions are pretty stacked up. When the girls get into 14 and under, 16 and under, it's maybe a dozen or so. But that's great. That's great. Good
Yeah,
turnout
no,
there by the kids, and good. The parents, I'm sure, I was packed with parents around there.
of course. Yeah, parents are great, and as they usually are. It's good seeing like faces that I've been seeing, like not just on the kid side, but like parents that I'll
Yeah,
communicate with throughout the year to like coordinate stuff with, and um, you know, and I've said it before. It's easy to kind of get like run out of gas sometimes doing this, Mike, but seeing these kids and their enthusiasm and
yeah,
seeing the evolution of their game over the last year, whether it's through like JIC stuff or BEF stuff or whatever. Like, I'm optimistic for the future of American pool, but it's cool to see all these kids get together and now they're vying for world spots to go, and that's really like what they're hungry for, what they're chasing. So,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
like seeing these kids take pride in that. So,
Yeah, no,
um,
it's a great group of kids. Every year over the past 4 or 5 years, it seems to be getting stronger from a playing standpoint. Certainly getting stronger from a bonding and
yeah,
commitment to the sport, to grow the sport the right way attitude. I was talking to someone just the other day and talking about being around the business for so long, and does it ever get boring? Do you get tired of it? That type of thing. And I told him, I said, you know what? It's there's new generations that keep coming in.
right.
And every year you see the junior players and the young kids, and you see the passion and the commitment and the drive, whatever. And it's like, that's stuff that keeps me young is
Yeah.
watching these guys come, these kids come in with their, starry eyed and, can't wait to take on the world. And it's fun to watch.
No, for sure. And it seems like their play has gotten better along with their, drive,
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
we came from like, well, you came from a different generation than me, but when I was watching sports growing up, you know, it was a different kind of competition, Mike. Like they wanted to kill each other. I don't care if it was basketball or football or whatever. So like I'm still like it's a little different watching pool where everyone's kind of friendly, but everyone that I've talked to, they all say the same thing. It's like we're friends, but we're out there, we're competing. I'm not letting off. I'm there to win, and I want to get that spot. And that pride, like I said, that representing the red, white, and blue, means something to them, which I love. You know,
Yeah.
those kids seeing all the companies that come together, who, talking with Shane Tyree, and just seeing everyone that's kind of put into the pot for the sake of helping these kids out. And listen, I encourage everybody. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff this week. If I'm not asking you for a dime. Just share the stuff. Share if Collins is live, if I'm live, if we're posting, updates or whatever. Let's grow those numbers so that way, we can have something to go back to next year and continue to grow this thing. It's a lot of people that just love supporting junior pool that are coming together for this, and
Yeah.
it's going to be a good week, Mike. It's going to be a
Yeah.
good week, and they all ran in the door like at 1 o'clock. Excuse me, to call. And so finally, when I call a little break here, a little break there, I'm just sitting them watching them run out, Mike. Run out, run out. And there's kids of all ages from all over the country. And yeah, it's going to be good, man. And
Yeah,
Collins'
it is gonna be
setup is
good.
just ridiculous. So it's going to be an
That's
awesome
cool.
time.
I
Yeah.
did see a post here from our buddy Luke Riches, formerly of Matchroom and works with the EPBF, about the European Youth Championship is going on right now as well. So the European youth are all over there. I saw our buddy Rico Rompinen won the
Straight pool.
straight pool, I think 17 and under or something like that, and he's what 15.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, they've got their kids all dialed in and competing too, which is great. It's all good stuff.
Yeah, they got kids that are playing in not just junior events, but playing in world events, and those are the types of things that you have to do. I don't. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't think that the Americans are where the Europeans are right now, but I like the direction that it's heading in.
Yeah.
And it gives me room for optimism. And there's people like, as much as within the pool world, and you know this more than anyone, that people kind of pull in opposite directions, right? We see that all the time. And that's, yeah, the laugh says it all. It's great to see groups of people come together for the sake of pulling in the direction of supporting the kids.
Yeah. We
So
can all pull in that direction, right? That's an easy one to get behind.
yeah, and there's a lot of great kids with a great game and great personalities. And I'm seeing the Pink Dagger there. I'm seeing Landon, who's won 2 years in a row, going for a
Right.
three-peat. I'm seeing the Tates. I'm just a bunch of people that I saw last year that I'm excited to see this
The
year.
Tates roll
And
into town. It's like the Partridge Family.
oh, I mean, I don't even want to. I was looking for the bus. I was looking for the bus that they came
Exactly.
in because they roll deep, man. You know that.
They do.
So, and all these kids are getting taller. Maybe I'm just getting shorter, which I don't got any room to, in that department to go any lower. But
Well,
these kids
see,
are
I
growing,
I
man.
gauge Savannah by her growth in the last couple of years by how many letters I can read on the back of her jersey. Because a couple of years ago, she started out with that Roadrunner, where the Roadrunner was written down the back of her jersey, and the last five letters were tucked into her pants. And now every
Yeah.
time I see her, I can see another letter, so I know she's getting taller.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm seeing some of these kids. And I'm like, what the hell happened to you, man? Where I'm doing this number here. So, we see all your comments in the chat. So we got a message from GWN on YouTube. When does the coverage start? So the opening ceremony is tonight from 5 to 7. So in like an hour 45 from now, and then play will start tomorrow. And I should know the event format, but I don't remember right now. So just stay tuned. I'll post that information pretty soon. I,
What
I
kind of
want to say
streaming? What kind of streaming is going on in terms of matches? Is there just a TV table? Are they doing all tables?
dude, let me tell you something, Mike. It's never just a TV table with Collins. That guy is like the mad scientist of pool streaming. I got a lot of respect for him. I love his enthusiasm, but like his game when it comes to streaming is up to. And there's a lot of people in the pool world that'll tell you like they all do the best job.
Yeah.
Always, every
Yeah.
time you talk to someone, they are the gold standard in their own mind. Let me tell you something. Just you're going to be blown away by everything we've done, and I've been helping out with them. But it's all Collins' baby, and so we do have one TV table there, but basically there's 20 tables within that arena, and I want to say at least 8 of them we can get amazing quality from
Great.
of the table. So we're going to be going from match to match that's going on. If you've ever seen a post up stream, you know what I'm talking about. We're going to be following tournament coverage. We're going to be coordinating with tournament directors to kind of put, a lot of these great matches. There's always going to be good matches, but like these great matches on certain tables, so that way
Yeah.
throughout the stream we can kind of pan over. Collins engages very well. We're going to have kids in and out of that booth doing commentary as well alongside him. So, but yeah, it's just it's I can't. It's going to be long days, but it's all going to be worth it. And we're going to
Yeah,
be
of course.
showcasing different disciplines, and 8 ball, 10 ball, and 14.1. And we got just a ton of stuff to give away. Not just like our sponsors, but like sponsors of the event have donated a ton of stuff to give away for these kids. So I'm just I'm hoping they have a good time more than anything else. And I don't get to be as involved in junior stuff as throughout the year, but like I want to make sure from my standpoint that I just give them like the best effort that I can
Sure.
this week. So
I'm sure you guys
um,
will. I'm sure it'll be a great show. And
yeah,
the parents, I think they all appreciate the effort. Thankfully, from what I've seen at junior events, these aren't little league parents. you know, you don't see them.
yeah.
You don't
Well,
see them bitching at the referees. You don't see them complaining about too much. And,
it happens,
oh,
for
I
sure.
guarantee. I'm sure it
Yeah,
does. I'm sure it
yeah.
does. But it's not as rampant as when I go to a little league baseball game and the parents are just brutal.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely not like that. I mean, there's as much as there's like a bond and a unity within the kids themselves and the competitors. These parents know the joys and the struggles that they have going along for this ride. If that
Yeah.
makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So they help each other out, and they all kind of root for each other and want to see everyone do well.
They're
Um,
really familiar with what each other are going through. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean they're akin in that regard,
yeah,
and of course everyone's got opinions, but I think in my heart of hearts, like I truly believe that when it comes to the way they communicate like anybody involved, they all know that hey, we want this to go well and we want it to be great, and we're trying not to cut any corners when it comes to just giving them the best like platform, the best arena, the best tables, Aramis involved, Diamonds involved, all these great companies that are coming together to give them the best chance. And everything that we've been talking to when I've been hearing conversations from like referees and people involved on the staff, it's like we wanted to mimic the worlds to give these kids the experience they need to be able to go out there and be ready to compete.
right.
So and yeah, that's all you can really ask for, Mike. So. But there's a lot of other stuff going on in the pool world, Mike, and that's part of why me and you are here. I will be live later tonight with Christina Tkach, so we're going to talk some like
Nice.
women's events and just a few other things that are on the docket. So, but there's a lot of other stuff, Mike. I was browsing through social media today, you know, and here's the deal. So, like everyone will, I hear that a lot. You know what, Mike? I come to you for information, and that's right. I like to be the one people come to for information, but then I see stuff, and it was a friend of mine that shared me a post that somebody else had shared, and I won't mention any names, but I see this new league, new game, new thing that's going to be on
PLP, come on,
ESPN.
man, get on board.
It's bonus ball 2.0 is what it is, right? I
I
watched a YouTube
who knows?
video.
It's got some specific balls on the table with the PLP logo in it. I have no idea
It's
what
a new
this is.
game,
Obviously, it's like guerrilla tactics as far as launching of a new brand because none of us has heard anything about this prior to it happening. At least,
nothing,
I
Mike,
mean, I haven't.
not a peep.
Um,
I'm
yeah,
asking
so
you,
it's
I'm texting you, I'm like, who's behind this? Because if I don't know it, you got to know it. And you're like, I don't know.
yeah, no clue. Premier League pool, is that what it's?
No,
Uh,
Pro Q Sports League or something.
yeah, who knows?
Pro,
Anyways,
yeah.
so you know, I
It's
didn't watch.
9 balls on the table.
Right.
Each ball is a point, and the black ball is more points. I was watching, again, it's on their YouTube video. You get 3 pockets, the other guy gets 3 pockets, and it's a race to 30 points. Obviously there's going to be no education involved when it comes to the audience, right? Because it's so simple and easy to follow. But I'm looking at the participants, Mike, and I see Jeanette Lee, I see Jennifer Beretta, I see Feder Gorst, and then I see Johnny Archer, and I'm just a little confused as to what decade that we're in, Mike. And I mean this with all due
Yeah, no,
respect,
it's
but
it's it's a weird. Well, you know what? Here's the marketing plan. It's grab people from each of the last 10 decades, and that way you've got an audience built in for each person.
who's in
yeah,
what decade, Mike? Who's in what
well,
decade?
well, Johnny Archer's in the oldest decade, followed by
Right.
Jeanette, followed by
Yeah.
Jennifer, followed by Feder. I'm assuming these are it's a league thing, right? So I'm assuming these are captains and there's other players on teams.
I don't.
Is or are they playing against each other?
I'm thinking
Are
each
these the
other
four competitors?
is what it looks like. Yes,
It's not much of a league, is it?
it looks like it's 1v1. At least the YouTube video, it looks like it's 1v1. Your opponent gets 3 pockets. You get 3 pockets, and I mean, so I would guess I would assume that it's going to be by sexes. So meaning Federer v Johnny and Jennifer versus Jeanette. I don't know. I don't know what to say, Mike. I don't know. I don't
So
know where to go
here's
with this.
the thing that confused me out of this the most is Federer.
Why?
I don't.
If you're, he would be the one that makes the most sense to some people, though.
If you had a legitimate league that was going to be,
Right.
the best in the world, but this is clearly just a showcase type of thing. He just seemed like an odd one to, if I look at the four people, he's the one that
Could they
sticks
just
out as not fitting.
could they just not afford Earl? Is that what the issue was?
Earl and Johnny, Jeanette and Jennifer. Wow, that would be a
Right.
foursome.
But that would
But
make more sense, though, wouldn't it, Mike? Wouldn't a guy like
so,
Earl
and
fit
well,
in that
yeah,
four?
yeah.
You
But
know,
then you've also got this thing where it's going to be on ESPN2 and the Ocho, right?
I don't even
And
know
I
what that is.
saw
What is the
August 4th. Well, it's kind of the same thing
okay?
on that platform on certain times
Like
of the day. So I
ESPN
looked
Plus
up,
kind of deal?
kind of, I guess.
Okay.
But I did look up programming on ESPN2 on August 4th at 1 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
And it says, highlights of some obscure sports in the U.S. and around the world. So it's a time
That's a
buy.
that's a complimentary description, by the way.
But it's just it's a time buy, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's what
Yeah,
pool
but you got to get the hook, though,
essentially.
Mike. You got to get that hook to set, though, when get the chance.
Well, it just depends on how deep the pockets are for whoever's behind us, and that's the $1 million question that we're all asking each other. We've all, I think, sent out feelers and messages to Jeanette, Jennifer, Federer. I don't know if anyone's contacted Johnny or not, but
Lord knows I
um,
can't get a hold of the guy.
but it's
I may or
just
may not be blocked.
so it's who's behind this and what is it? I looked through the website, no mention of any name of any city, country, anything as far as a contact goes to get some idea as to where this might be coming from, which to me realistically is kind of a little bit of a red flag. It's Does someone not want to own up to this? Is it such a secret deal that it's going to
I
blow
mean,
us
I'm
away?
sure.
I mean, is
Listen, you're
this
a journalist, Mike. We ought to be able to find out who's registered that name and find out whose name's attached to that registration.
oh, I got to do work now?
It's Monday.
It's Monday.
It's Monday, so it was before 5. Uh, but
I'll get my
if
staff on it.
everything that we say, so Keith, be ready on standby, buddy. Everything that like you see on social media forums and things is we want to get pulled back on ESPN. We want to get pulled back
Yeah.
on major broadcasters, and this is our foot forward. You know, so it's like how did they get that meeting and how did they get that sell
Oh,
and
it's not.
why on this
It's
game?
not much of a meeting. It's like I said, time buys are time buys. I mean, a time buy is Kevin
What do you
Trudeau
mean?
is selling products at 2 o'clock in the morning on a shopping network. So, if you have a decent production company and you sell a pitch to ESPN and it's something pool. I mean, ESPN's familiar with pool, so
Right.
someone comes in there with some pool programming is going to pay for the half-hour programming. I don't think it's really that hard to do. It would be nice to see, I would love to see pool back on an ESPN platform with, even if it was a time buy, because that's the way you get started. That's the way you get rolling. That's the way, cornhole got rolling, all that kind of stuff. And you pick up some traction and maybe get a sponsor, yada, yada, yada. So, but if this is, if someone thinks this is going to be pool's, fast track to get back onto traditional ESPN programming, then they didn't watch bonus ball. So, I don't know. It's just kind of a weird little thing to me. We're all gonna have to wait till August 4th to see how dazzled we are
No,
In the
I'm we're good.
meantime,
We're gonna get on this right away, Mike. You know what? We're gonna start knocking on doors and figuring
well,
out.
Fetter's in the Philippines, so he's not as easy to reach right now as other people might be, right?
Yeah,
So,
I need names, Mike. I'm a kind of Windows Open is a kind of page
well, I
that
mean,
gets names, so
if
we
you
need
had your
names.
name attached to this and you were putting money behind it and you were having balls made with your logo on it, so you could sell a game and sell ball sets and whatever you think you're going to do, wouldn't you go out of your way to market to the billiard community in some way or another as to, hey, watch out for this coming? This is like a week beforehand,
Yeah, I say they're
and we
like two
get
weeks
some
out.
cryptic thing, and someone said
They
Rodney
send
is
me they send me a
my
screenshot.
guess, and Rodney has been posting some things recently about he's got some deals in the work, right? So who knows whether it's him or not? I don't think it is.
I would
I
doubt.
didn't think
Listen,
that I didn't think that this was what he was talking about from what I gathered.
if
Uh,
Rodney was behind it, I'm not so sure that Johnny would be on the floor. And I'll put it like that. I saw him out there in Sacramento just recently, and you know, I
Not a lot of love lost.
I didn't say it, Mike. Those
I just
words
asked the
never.
question. You don't have to answer, but you can
Yeah,
neither confirm nor deny.
yeah. It's one of those deals for sure. But yeah, it was definitely a surprise. It really took me back, and I'm curious to find out more. We're gonna find out more. It's what we do, and then we're gonna it's a catch 22, right? I don't want to like completely knock the idea, but the same, because we are getting a chance to go back on ESPN. So like, go support it, go watch it, go tune in. Let's get some kind of traction. I mean, you got Jeanette, you got Johnny, you got Jennifer Beretta, and you got Federer. It's just it's odd to me. You know, it's very very odd to me. So uh,
Yeah.
yeah, we shall see. I will post the YouTube video on Windows Open here shortly. But Mike, that wasn't the only thing in the pool world that was going on. Yesterday, as I was just working my butt to back pain, I happened to get on Facebook. Well, I mean, I stay on Facebook quite a bit, but I was scrolling through my feed, and what came up was a Billiards Digest update of one Clint Kachi.
Oh yeah, yeah. Plenty, yeah. Um, you know, you know that this guy is strapped into a hospital bed when he starts replying to your messages, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
when he's doing it like in short order, you're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this guy must be. They're
It
not letting him
the
out of the
over
hospital
under
anytime
before
soon.
was probably like 3.5 months.
Yeah,
I, you know,
exactly.
you know,
So, yeah, so I did get a little more information. He made a post about having this accident, a week or so ago, and I was able to catch up with him a little bit. And what happened was he was with some friends in Macedonia, and they were doing some off-roading in some off-roading vehicles, and he was, you know, uh, doing one of those,
drifting.
maneuvers, which is, braking and swinging your back end out and turning that
You
way, side,
sound you
whatever.
sound real old when you describe it, Mike. Let me tell you, buddy. You want
How would you describe it as a
drifting?
young
He's
person?
drifting. He's drifting.
Yeah, okay, he was
Yeah,
drifting.
yeah.
So, drifting in the mountains, it doesn't really sound like a smart idea.
What could go wrong?
And well, apparently, what went wrong was he hit a rock with one of the tires, and that launched his vehicle end over end. And he said what he did was um, stuck his arm out to protect himself, which was
Natural,
an
right?
instinct. Yeah, or
Yeah,
sticking it out or
yeah.
whatever. And you're talking about heavy iron roll bars and whatever, and it's not going to end well.
Mm.
And so apparently he broke his arm in a couple of places. I don't know if it
Mm.
was a compound fracture, but definitely broke skin,
Mm.
and
Mm.
lost some skin, had some muscle damage, some tendon
Mm.
damage.
Mm.
Spent 4 hours. He said it was a 3-hour trip from where he injured himself to get him help,
Wow,
which
that's
was,
a lot of time for pain, Mike.
yeah, agonizing. And
Oh.
then 4 hour surgery. And because, he was in this outdoor, in that kind of atmosphere, rocks, dirt, whatever, and then took a dirty shirt and wrapped it around his arm to try to stop the
Mm.
bleeding, whatever it is.
Mm-mm.
They didn't want to
Mm-mm.
do surgery and then sew him back up because you worry about infection from everything that, got
Mm.
around him. So apparently they've had to keep the wound relatively open
Oh,
and they clean it out every couple of days
oh,
and just double check and make sure that there's no infection before they. I think they have to do one more surgery and then
close them
sew
up.
him up. Um, uh, he's got. I don't know if it's a combination of plates and rods in his arm to stabilize the bone. So they want to make sure that that's all stabilized and going well before they sew him back up again as well. So, um, but the good thing for him is he's young. He's
Ay,
he's a monster, strong dude. Uh, his chances for recovering the right way are really pretty good. So he said the doctors told him if the surgery went well, he's looking at 6 to 8 weeks. That sounds really ambitious to me.
look here. Here's my deal on it, Mike. Is that there's no frame of reference to really tell you that. They may say you'll get back to normal, but like it's a different kind of normal when you talk about a forearm of a pool player, Mike. You know, it to me anyway. It's a different kind of animal. I don't know of any other instance where I've heard of a player like that having gone through what Clenny's gone through, and then seen where his game ends up thereafter. You know, so
what would be
that's
what would be a more troublesome arm, your bridge arm or your stroking arm?
stroking arm for sure.
Yeah, so this was his bridge arm, which is good.
Oh, okay, okay. I didn't realize that.
Was his left arm,
Ah,
right?
oh well, that's
So it's his
great. I mean,
it's his
relatively
bridge
speaking,
arm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're still getting into stretching and leaning on it when you break. And
yeah.
he said, I just hope that my break is still solid. He said, otherwise I'm going to have to cheat and soft break everybody.
I love that. I love that changes
So
everything, Mike. I mean,
it does.
yeah. I was under
So,
the impression it was his stroking arm.
no, it was his left arm.
I still think the 6 to 8 weeks. I'm with you. That
Unless the
sounds.
photo of him was backwards. I don't know. It looked to me in the photo, it's his
Oh
left
yeah,
arm, but
yeah,
is the
yeah, yeah,
photo backwards? That's a really good question. I hadn't really thought about that.
yeah. It makes a big difference. I would imagine. I mean, it does. It makes a big difference because then you're talking about a long time without using that in that motion. And so, but there's other there's a trickle down effect here because let's say optimistically that you are back in 2 months. Well, now you're talking about September. You know,
Yeah,
I know he was in a good spot when it comes to ranking points, but you're going to lose a lot of ground when it comes to these other guys that are going to be looking to take your spot. And then if that happens, even though in my opinion, I think he was the best player on the pro circuit, this year.
right.
Um, it's going to be tough to kind of if he gets off of points to bring him in, let's say in a December, not knowing what you're going to get from him.
Yeah, yeah,
So obviously the first thing is I'm glad he's alive, right? And I don't want
yeah.
to
Of
want to
course,
make I don't want to make sure that's swept under the rug or thinking I'm being insensitive in any way when it comes to the kid's accident or anything like that. That's first
right.
and foremost. But we obviously wish him well. But just circling back on the sports side of things, that's just something that is going to be a realistic conversation to be had between whoever's announced as a European coach and where Kachi ends up. By the time it's time to make those kind of decisions.
Yeah, no, it's there's a
So
lot going to change, a lot going to happen between now and then. You look at the list of tournaments he's going to miss over that time period. If you start looking at September,
it's a
October,
it's a gauntlet, Mike. It's a gauntlet in that time.
yeah. So, and you know what? I'm going to cut him because I'm pretty sure it's his left arm. That photo was proper.
It
Obviously,
was, yeah.
he wasn't taking a selfie, so it should be it should be
They
square up.
call that the Mike Panozzo now. They don't even call it selfie anymore. They call that the Panozzo because that's every time I
Well,
look at
judging
Mike.
by the photograph, the tattoos on his arm, and he's got a tattoo on his right arm, not his left arm, and so I think we're pretty safe in saying that it's his bridge arm that was injured. So. So yeah, I mean, we hope for the best. We hope for a quick recovery. If he recovers and he's playing well,
He's a no
um,
brainer. He's a
well,
lock. He's an
but if he's
automatic.
so, let me ask you this: he's playing well, but he doesn't make the top three in points. Is he an automatic? He
How
comes
well as
back.
well?
I don't know. It's,
And
are you gonna,
it's that question
and
versus
then who else is on
who's
the list? Yeah,
who else is in consideration.
yeah, yeah.
Because I really believe his game prior to this accident was A1
Yes, it
in pool,
was.
you
No
know,
doubt. No
and
doubt.
I don't think he was there, and I mean that even including the Joshes and the Federers and
The,
Franciscos and all these
yes.
guys. I think he was number one. But it's the arm is massive in pool, so
Yeah.
um, again, we all hope that the infection just stays away and all that stuff, alongside everything. But I I I hope that he can make it in because it'd be a great story also,
Yeah.
So because he's been on the side, the things that people have talked about his game, whether it's shot clock issues or being a teammate issue or work ethic or whatever, things that have come up over the years when it talks about Kachi. And we said it at the beginning of the year. We said at the end of last year, I don't think that guy has any chance on getting in when it comes to being a coach's pick unless he makes it in on
Right.
points, right?
Right. Right.
His game had completely changed in the sense that
Yeah.
I thought he was just a monster among
Yeah.
monsters. And so it's kind of a brutal. I mean, there's never a good time to have that happen, but it's like, man, when you're at the peak right now, and then that
Yeah.
happens, and then now you got to step away for a few months and not be able to hit a ball. You're gonna have rust and growing pains and all those things, and so time will tell, Mike. I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we wish him the best, obviously, and just one more thing that makes the rest of the year more interesting.
So we got a smart ass in the chat, which I think he said he was here in Quincy in Ed Ladawi. Was it 1 year Hall of Fame worthy? Listen, I still think the guy. I'm still saying I'm not saying Francisco should be inducted this year, but I think his wins are Hall of Fame lock, and
you
I'll
lost.
stand by
You
that
lost that bad on
miserably.
your.
I
Yeah.
don't think people really understood what I was asking
No,
though, Mike.
from the answers that I saw, a lot of people understood exactly what you were
You know what it
asking. They were
sounds like
like,
to me,
"No,
Mike? It sounded like there was a lot of old people on Facebook that day. Is what it sounded like to me.
don't confuse old with experienced." Right?
Tomato, tomato. There was other things go. And you listen, I love the debate part of it. As long as it's with respect, I love the debate part of it. And as much as it hurts my soul to admit Panozzo's right, listen, Mike, uh, you're a dear friend. I got a lot of respect for you, and I learned a lot from you. So, can you feel the pain as I say these things?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, yeah,
and
you're gonna break your teeth crunching your teeth together like that.
I will say this: I am in agreement with comments that I've seen online and with one Jay Helford. I don't know if you guys see that yesterday, but I'm in agreement that you are Hall of Fame worthy yourself, buddy.
Oh,
So,
I don't know
um,
about that.
uh, no. But
I
anyway,
like what I
Mike,
did.
I know you're just a humble guy. I like to bust your balls, but you really are. Sharks going on this week, Mike. Biggest Asian event that we've seen in years. I found out a lot of information from Jay, a lot of things that we were looking for online that we couldn't find. One of them being the format, Mike, races to 7 in these 1 through
Yeah.
28 rounds, alternate breaks. So a little bit of a twist, which is what we talked about that we were hoping for in some of these events. And I want to get your take on that, Mike.
Well, even alternate breaks, race seven's a little bit skimpy to me. But it's a big field, and they can run it however they want. It's I was not disappointed with the field, but a little surprised. A complete lack of Americans and Europeans, right? So it's an Asian only tournament, and there's nothing wrong with that either, because that's still as killer as you can get.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's going to be interesting to see now, since it's so Filipino heavy, um, how many of these top ranked Asians from around other parts of Asia, how far they get, the Ko's and your Yaps and players like that. Robbie Capito is not competing in
He's
that,
there.
correct?
He's
Oh,
there.
is he? Did he
Yeah,
go
he's
there
there.
after this World Confederation of Billiard Sports event? Because he was playing in that.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he was on the list. I'm like 90% sure. So maybe they
Okay.
held up. Yeah, that's a good question, Mike. But yeah, that's a whole other thing, which we'll get to here in just a minute. But um, yeah, I, from the American standpoint, that conversation with Shane was pretty telling, right? I mean, and that's the guy who probably makes the most money out of any American. I think that's a pretty, accurate and fair statement. Logistically, it doesn't make sense for these guys to go over there, Mike.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it just not for that event. Um, they really have to pick their spots. It's so expensive to travel these days. Um, well, if Capito's on the losers bracket, I wonder if he. Someone just mentioned that. I wonder if he forfeited his first match. I wonder.
Because of being at the WCBS event.
Well, he was. His team was in the semifinals and/or finals. So, and I think that just ended. Asia B won the team championship. I don't know
Ooh,
whether he was on Asia A or Asia B. So,
I don't think Robbie knows if he was on Asia A or Asia B, Mike. To be honest.
well, let's talk about this World Confederation of Billiards Sports
Out. I,
Championship, right?
I'm down with it. Let's just finish up on sharks and then we'll get over that.
Okay.
I'm perfectly fine with it. Listen, I'm gonna just and I'll just rough draft it here in a little bit.
What's your
I
take on the Sharks event?
I think I love the chance for some of these unknowns to become knowns. I love that. I think that talking with Jay yesterday, there was a lot of things that I agreed on, and one of them, even before he went on, was just saying that a lot of these big names are going to go down, and you can bet on it. I agree, and I think there's a lot of it's such a deep country, you know. And on top of that, you have the who's who of Taiwanese players that are there as well. I know there's no Chinese players there, but you have the Changs and the Wu Kun Lin and Chen and Yu Lung Chang, obviously the Ko brothers. So you have great players. Yap, or you got Japan covered. Um, but I want to see these. I want to see guys get a chance that wouldn't otherwise, and be able to go make a name for themselves and get the respect amongst world players that I feel like they don't, just because of whatever things in their way, Mike. Whether it's visa issues or financials or otherwise. So I love that part of it. But I think it's probably going to be the deepest event in the last 10 years, easily. I think it's that strong. You know.
Do you think it's deeper than previous China Opens?
Um.
That's a
Yeah, I
little
guess that
strong to me.
that would be, yeah, that would be yeah, okay. I
Because now
can
you are
understand
talking
that.
about all the Chinese players, and especially that added part of the field is all Chinese players instead of all Filipino players. Kind of, and then you do have all
Maybe
Players,
I
Taiwanese
think it's
players.
close. I'll say that. I mean that. I try not to be just a pure victim of the moment, but I do think it's close. As
Okay.
far as a depth standpoint. Now, I think maybe more on the top side, the big names are there. And listen, the last time there was a China Open, it was a Wu versus Anton final. Which doesn't get much better than that
No.
if I'm not mistaken. So those are big names, and Anton wasn't Anton at that time. We haven't seen him really play, in a national event since then. So, but I just think that from beginning to end, it's as deep as you can go and ask for, and I feel like that'll show through in the next few days. I can't stand the fact there's no digital bracket. I can't stand the fact that I can't see any kind of live
Yeah, and
scoring.
that's
The,
one of the problems to me in analyzing how good it is as a tournament. I want to see the equipment. I want to see the layout. I want to see
well, they're playing
is
on
it just
Renaissance, you know.
is it just a big free for all type? Because they had the Manny Pacquiao events, which were big event, had all the Filipino players,
But it's
but
covered differently though, Mike, right? And the streaming is different, all those things, you know?
right. But I just mean from logistic. Those tournaments always to me look a little uneven. Um,
No,
so
because you had more unknowns than I can remember a year when they had a doubles event where like a 12-year-old Cheska Santano and a 13-year-old beat Shane and Dennis, you
yeah,
know? And that was when Shane and Dennis were like in their heyday, US Open battlers, you know what I mean? Like those were big boys, and they lose like in that second round. At the time, I don't know who they were. Now Cheska's obviously made a name for, so I can't remember who the other one was, but it's that's the kind of talent that you can get out of the Philippines, top to bottom. Obviously, 10 ball and 9 ball, we all know those differences. But um, yeah, I just, the other part of it, Mike, that kind of rubs me the wrong way, and I don't want to imply anything, but when you have what I'm thinking, I'm guessing is a promoter taking bets, and then you
that
and
could present a problem.
it might be a conflict of interest, Mike. And with a
Yeah.
with when you have a sport that's already got a history of some shady activity in years past, and then you don't have the transparency that's easily available. along with the fact that you're accepting the bets and the action and taking the juice and whatever else, I'm just saying, Mike, it opens itself up to be a little dirty at the end,
Well,
and
yeah.
I don't want to. I mean that
You wouldn't
I,
accuse Filipinos of doing business, would you?
I'm not saying that, but it just I don't like that look of it, Mike. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
just
no,
from
no,
where
it's not a good look. It's not a good
just
look for sure.
especially because
And
like
that's why I say that's part of what I was talking about when I was saying, it bothers me that we can't look under the hood and watch what's going on
right, yeah,
and seeing
yeah,
the atmosphere and seeing the
yeah.
conditions and seeing
And there's
the
plenty of things that
matches
they
and
do great.
seeing.
I love their YouTube. They're bringing in commentators. Obviously, you got Jay. You had Mark White the other day. You have they're able to make graphics and show you who. I like that stuff. That's great. But that's complimentary. I want to be able to. Part of me following a pool is following a tournament, seeing who's coming up and who they just beat, following score lines and having it be easily accessible. We get that with technology that we have these days, Mike. I don't understand
Right.
the reasoning behind it. On top of that, they kept the players list up until 2 days before. And I know for a fact, talking with friends of mine who are very good friends with top Filipino players, that was very specific. That was very deliberate, and I don't understand why it was like that, Mike. It does not make sense to me as to
Yeah.
why. And so that it leaves itself up to be scrutinized more heavily than what we would otherwise. And I'm just we'll see. So um anyhow, I think it will be a great event. I'm excited to see when it really starts to shape up when it gets down to final, or single elimination. Then I'll get more because then I'm hoping by that point we can have a bracket, right, where I can see who's going to play who. But right now, okay, we'll see. I still think a
Yeah.
lot of names are going to go down though early on, like what Jay said. But um, yeah. Anyhow, Mike, we were talking about WCBS as well. Some event going on in Turkey, right? That included some players, that included some disciplines, right? I mean,
Yeah, just a weird, the WCBS, and we've talked before about the WPA and the WCBS and these umbrella worldwide organizations that do perhaps the worst job of promotion and education and marketing of any entity I think I've ever been involved with. And so they have this, they decide to do their own championship, which is have teams from around the world, representing different continents come and play. Each team had a carom player, a hayball player, a pool player, and
male
a
and
snooker
female.
player, a male and female pool player, and a snooker player, right? And so the idea was to have this team format. So use the best, and just you know, we know what just finding an American pool player who wanted to go over there and play was almost impossible. And where you were going to dig up an American snooker player and an American
Good
hayball
luck.
player is even tougher. So um, it just to me half-ass effort up and down the line.
But
Uh,
expected and typical.
Yeah, and once it started, no, I mean, the whole idea of this to me, it had to have been built around a new sugar daddy in the room, which is Hayball, right? Chinese 8 ball, Chinese putting a lot of money behind it.
Anytime you say sugar daddy, I'm tuning into that show automatically, Mike.
Does it make me sound old?
No, actually,
Like
that
I
one
might be a
doesn't.
sugar daddy?
Yeah, no, that one wasn't easy there, Tiger. Easy. I'm not. I'm not. I don't think you're wrong, Mike.
Yeah, so the new sugar daddy in the room wants to get Hayball, so let's talk to WCBS, our new buddy, into putting this whole thing forward because they're trying to get into the equation if pool ever goes Olympic, right? Or they want to be in they want their game to be in the conversation of international games that would include billiard sports, right? And so hot on the heels of this, I see an announcement yesterday or today from the International World Games Association, which announces all the new sports for the World Games in 2025, which is in China. Go figure.
Shocking.
And billiards
Timing is just
is once
coincident.
again
It's just coincidence, Mike.
billiards once again is in the mix. They are one of the sports in the world games, which is great. And Hayball has been added to the list of billiard games. Who would have thought?
Who would have guessed
So,
that one, Mike?
I don't know how that went in terms of the International Hayball Association petitioning the WPA,
I'd imagine there was a
WCBS
dinner
into
involved,
being
Mike, is what I
added.
would
I
guess.
imagine there was a
Yeah,
dinner
I'm just saying,
involved.
So
And so there we go. So, and listen, not that I have anything against Hayball, not that I have any, as a discipline, and if they're promoting it and putting big money into it and trying to get it spread around the word, spread around the world, have at it. I just always find it kind of amusing when the WPA and WCBS is so transparent in its ability to be kind of massaged into one direction or another, depending on who's got the purse strings.
you are on fire today, Mike. I'm blown away. You know what? I'm just gonna turn my screen off and just let you just have the floor, and I'm just gonna get some popcorn right here in this hotel room and
Yeah,
just
well,
listen
listen.
in.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there's no. Speaking of the WPA, what did we see from the China Open?
Well,
WPA sanctioned as a world event. WPA sanctioned. It's a 9-ball tournament. I thought the WPA was diametrically opposed to 9-ball these days because 10 ball is a better, more even discipline, and that's what they're playing in all
no,
WPA
unless
events.
the CBA, unless the CBSA is knocking on the door. The Chinese Billiard Snooker Association is there telling you what they want and how they, and I like you mentioned a minute ago. Getting that massage, right? Uh,
It's just
I'd imagine there was a dinner involved, Mike. You know,
lot of dinners involved these days. I don't get
yeah.
invited to any. Do you?
No, 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 no. I hear after the fact. But I'm with you, Mike. And listen, These are a lot of conversations that I feel like we're gonna have. I don't want to say all the answers, but we'll be able to get a little bit more clarification because I'm here alongside this BEF event. Shane Tyree, the VP of right, I think he's vice president of the WPA. He's here. I'm assuming that's his title anyway. So we
Which
are going to
title?
be
He's
able to.
got a WPA title. He's got a
It
BEF
was
title, and he's got a
he wears more
BCA
hats
title.
than
He's I
yeah.
must, yeah. He should come in with one of those military uniforms on with all the medals over
And then he'll
here.
yank it
That would
off
be
and be wearing a
good.
new shirt, right? When it's time to change. So
Uh,
no, we're gonna have him on this week, and we'll be able to ask a lot of questions, and I'm sure some will answer, some maybe he won't. But Shane's a great guy, and I love talking with him. And
yeah, he's
and
pretty upfront about it, and
yeah,
I think that he understands when things. I'm not saying anything look fishy. I just think that you got to be honest with where you're going with your decisions. Okay, remember the whole
right.
decision by the WPA that we're changing everything to 10-ball because that's the discipline that's the fairest. Bullshit.
Well, yeah, I
You
mean,
made the switch to 10-ball because
look at the logo.
you
Look at
fell
the
out of love
logo.
with whoever was in the 9-ball.
Yeah.
So that's let's just be honest about what everything is, and then we'll have a better idea of what to expect going forward.
Transparency goes a long way, Mike, throughout the industry, right? And being honest about things and just letting you know, hey, listen, this is where it's coming from. This is where we're hoping to take it to. And um, I think that'll clear up the BS the BS, not BF, the BS when it comes to things, and just have more open and candid conversations.
Yeah.
So these are the ones that are making bigger decisions when it comes to the sport, Mike, right? And are invited to those dinners. So these are the ones that we want to be talking to when we're going to, and yeah,
And they're
I
being
think
swayed by the size of the dinner. That's my whole point. And Ed Ladawi, who's great guy, very involved in the whole industry, and he's in Quincy, so you can talk to him now too. Talked about Hayball being introduced in 2017. You're 100% right, Ed. And if you remember, you and I were on that list of people that they contacted to get flown over to China to take part in the first big Chinese 8-ball event. Right? And it
right.
was whoever's got the big money is going to start throwing that money out there, and the players are going to come follow, and the associations are going to come and follow. And you just got to follow the money. So again, I don't know if there's a big problem with that.
Well, but the
It's
other side of it, listen, I'm fine with that, Mike, right? And I've never been one to tell anyone how to do their business or anything along those lines. But it's like you mentioned earlier, you also got to be fair in the sense that they do half-ass jobs of marketing things and marketing these players and presenting these what they're saying is a world-class event. I didn't realize anybody had won until I looked at the players that I follow on social media to see their post.
yeah,
You know,
exactly. They had to post. I saw Conrad's post it. They finished in second place. Good, good luck and good for you.
yeah.
But it just and it's just that kind of
And
and
I don't
that
even know what they won. I don't know what they won.
nothing, prize money, nothing.
This is what I'm saying, Mike.
So
So and how are they selected? There's so many questions. And it's not hard to get answers. So I don't understand what the issue
well, I
is of just
guarantee you how
open up
the
the hood,
the
like you
U.S.
said.
players were selected by let's start at the top and keep going until someone says yes.
I think they kept going a long ways, Mike.
Are you
You
saying
know,
Hunter was way down the list?
well, actually, Hunter's more. Funny enough, Hunter's probably at the height of the list because he plays so many of all the events. He plays not just matchroom events, but WPA events, which are
Yeah, no, he does. He's
primarily
he's
ten
out
ball.
there. He plays.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah. So, but there's also a lot of Americans that do turn it down. And I hear that quite a bit. So and it's kind of a tough sell when it comes to in the bigger picture of things. It's a tough sell to get in these sponsors and other people outside of the industry to throw money at the game when the top players aren't even buying in to represent when it comes to these what ought to be prestigious events. But if there's no money for them to be made, then why the hell would they want to go in the first place? So
Well,
it's
my
such
point
a
is it a prestigious? Was this a prestigious event?
they're I why would they're flying people in? You know how many suits I saw on the front row at that thing on some photos earlier today? I'd imagine they were taken care of pretty good. So and they weren't there for nothing. I saw Ishan there. I saw a lot of people there, Mike, that you probably recognize and you probably know.
Well,
You know,
Sean's going. He got invited to all the dinners.
yeah. So yeah, that I can guarantee you he did. Or he was on a Zoom call, one or the other. Uh, but no, it's 2023, Mike. Let's not acting like we're in the Stone Ages these days. Let's get more modernized. Let's start talking more. So but it is interesting to see that with the WPA announcing these events, and I don't think it's the only event because there's a Qatar Open that is also on their calendar. That's going to be a 9-ball event, along with a China Open that they're taking on. That's 9-ball. That these are things that are going to have their own ranking points when it comes to WPA, and those are going to affect invites through their own things and more conversations that I want to have had.
So someone plays in the China Open. Are they getting matchroom 9-ball points?
Nope, I don't think
Okay.
so. Yeah,
So would matchroom be telling their players don't play in that event?
publicly or
I don't
at
know.
at
What do
at,
you
at
think?
dinner.
Another dinner, man.
Another, yeah,
No wonder everybody's getting so fat in this industry.
yeah.
Jesus,
Well,
all
there's
they
where
do
all
is
the
have
money's
meat.
going, Mike.
It's all going into dinners.
It's all going to dinners. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, I don't think they would say that
Yeah, no, I
publicly.
don't think they would either, but it's going to be, very obvious by who's there and who isn't, unless the prize money's huge. Um, you know, if it's if the players who are playing in the matchroom events aren't going to get points in it, they're not going to go
Well,
to the China Open.
yeah, but
You know,
the WPA still sanctions the World 9-ball Championship, which I think allocations are still based off of WPA points.
yeah, that's
So
true. Good point.
so that'll have ramifications and be incentive for not World 9-ball Tour points, but they still have that underneath their umbrella. So it's
Well, then
just
I
it's
would say, just for grins, I would say write down the dates of the China Open
mm,
and keep an eye out for any conflicting tournaments on those dates in the next 6 months.
Announced by whom, Mike?
I'm not saying
If
that.
you were if you
I'm
were gonna
just
put your money on it, whom would you say would be putting on a tournament at
uh,
that time?
Billiards
Just curious.
Digest. I think we're going to start our own tournament
Oh, the
then.
BDO, the Billiards
The
Digest
BD
Open,
Open.
the
Yeah,
BDO. There you go.
yeah.
Okay, I know I've been hearing something. That was at another dinner.
As soon as I get done with the PLC or whatever it's called.
Oh man, listen, we got a lot more stuff to talk about. It's going to be a fun week of pool. We're gonna, Mike. What's your availability like this week? Matter of fact,
Let me look at my schedule. Um, Free.
wonderful. Well, we are going to be having Shane Tyree of the WPA on at some point this week. We're going to have a lot of juniors. I'm
Oh,
going to be
can I be on
helping.
that show?
Oh, Mike, you will be invited. It will be circled around Panozzo's schedule. It's going to be a good time, and we're going to be talking about pool stuff. But, we're going to be talking about junior stuff, any and everything. There's so much going on in the game, and for that, I'm very grateful and appreciative. I really am. I get back after 10 hours of being around pool events to come back to my room, and I'm watching pool, late into the night, early in the morning. So it's great. There's a lot of stuff going on. There still needs to be a better job of like marketing things and a million other things. But there's things to talk about, Mike, and
Yeah,
pool's going the right way.
I'm
So
looking forward to seeing some of these. Seeing you corral some of these kids, and maybe some of the parents during the week, and um, be some you have some cool opportunities there.
I'd ask them if they know who Panozzo is, but a lot of them have
No.
been on Beards Digest, so they know. They know. They know. Yeah, they all know.
Got a great issue coming out with a great story actually written by one of the junior players there, Kennedy Mayman,
Yeah.
who did a super, super job writing about, the junior programs and what it's like as a junior player these days, going through the system and trying to improve their game and being on the road and being out of school and all that stuff. She did a terrific job. It's good. It's a really good read.
We look forward to that. I'm sure we'll be talking with Kennedy and a bunch of other these kids. Stay tuned to Windows Open. Stay tuned to Post Up. Go get Birds Digest subscription so that way you can see that magazine whenever it comes out. Mike, it's always a pleasure. I look forward to having you on at some point again this week. And yeah, just keep your notifications on because we're going to be live, you guys.
I'll send you a dinner invitation.
Count me in. Don't invite Ladawi, though. Later, y'all.